Hello everyone, I'm here again in my veranda area. Today is August 4. It's about 7 a.m. in the morning and the sun or the morning sun is shining so bright in my succulents here in the veranda area. So I transfer some of my succulents on this table so that they could get morning sunlight. And I also put the head pot with graptopetalum marinade on it on the table. So before you can always see it in my vlog in the floor. So now I have decided to put it in a table so it would be safe also. And I put some of the succulents that are put in a black rack here. So I have decided to make some rearrangement. But actually, this is not the topic or the sharing that I will be sharing for today. So for the meantime, while I'm fixing some things, you can enjoy the beauty or let's take a look at the beauty of the succulents that is receiving the morning sunlight. So it's really beautiful to look at the stunning color it has. So there is the firestorm, the peace lily, two pots of peace lily. Beside the peace lily is we have the agavoidromio rubin, which is very red in color. And this one, I actually forgot the ID. And the other one is Rubidona. We have the pink curls, the Laura, the missing you, and the Laon. So that's my preview for today. So they are really beautiful when the sun shines upon them. So let's go to the real sharing or to the topic that I'm going to share with you. So why it is important to propagate our succulent. First, it is very important to propagate our succulent in order to multiply the number of succulents we have in our garden. So if you would notice in my vlog, I have lots of succulent and that is because I always propagate my succulent if I have time and if the weather permit me so. So it's not always good to propagate your succulent. It should have a good weather also. So one more thing is that it is important to propagate our succulent aside that we can multiply the number of succulents that we have is that we can save money from not buying. So if we don't buy lots of succulents online selling or on a physical store, but instead propagate our succulent, it would be also a good saving, a good part of our budget will be saved. And another thing is that why it is important to propagate our succulent. It's also to save a kind or a variety of a succulent that you have. So we all know that succulents are hardy plants. Yes, they are. But there are times also that we cannot control the weather in our area, especially during rainy days and summer. There happens that even how stable your succulent is, it will have or there will come a time that it will just die eventually. It's because of too much water they receive from rain, or it can be the stem is being cooked by the too much heat they're getting from the sun, or in some ways it can also be because of the pests like mealybug, aphids, or fungus. So in order for you to save a variety or a kind of succulent, especially your favorite ones, it is a must for us to propagate our succulents. So that's the three basic things that I think that we the reason why we should propagate our succulent. And aside from that, it is also fun to propagate succulents because if you have lots of propagation, you can also The propagation you made may also be a gift for your friend or just a sharing to your neighbor. So sharing plant is also a good deed, and sharing your blessings with other people is a good thing to do. So basically, that's the four things why it is important for me to propagate my succulents. So there are other reasons, but that's basically the four most important reason why do I propagate my succulent. So right now, what you are looking at in the video are the paths of my propagation. So how do I propagate my succulent? Since we're talking about why it is important, it is also good to share how do I propagate my succulent. So first, we can propagate our succulent through seeds, which I haven't tried doing it with a succulent, but I have tried doing it in cactus. So I have tried growing seeds in aloes, hybrid aloes, and my mellow cactus. Later in the video, you will see or I will show you the mellow cactus and aloes that I have propagated through seeds. But most of the time, I propagate my succulent through stem cuttings or through their offsets that they give. So basically, I remove the offsets or the babies from the mother plant and transfer it in a small pot. So what is the soil mix that I am using in propagating my succulent? It's the same or it's the usual soil mix that I use whenever I do potting and repotting my succulent. So it is usually composed of 50% loam soil, 50% pumice stone, which is mungo in size, and sometimes if I do have extra budget, I top it with the black sand top dressing. So the loam soil that I can buy here in the garden shop near our house is already composed of 5 organic things like garden soil, vermicast, carbonized rysal, and other organic matter. So whenever I do stem cutting, I usually air dry it at least 24 hours or more to make sure that the stem is dry, and I do not pot my stem cuttings in a wet soil or moist. I usually pot it in a dry soil mix to avoid stem rot, or if it has roots already, to avoid root rot. So basically, I just put this pot of propagation here in my veranda area where they receive full sunlight, full rain. So before I expose them to full rain, of course, I make sure that there are some roots already. But for full sun, it's okay as long as it is morning sun only. But actually, in my veranda area, it's full sunlight from morning to afternoon because it's a rain or shine area where you cannot find roof, nets, or UV plastic or any protection for my succulents. That's why it, if you would notice, they have this private color because all day long they receive full sun whenever it's sunny. So basically, when you have your propagation pot, it doesn't mean that they would be free from pests or they will constantly grow big. So there are times also that they are susceptible to pests, especially mealybugs. So fungus, not that so much, but for mealybugs, they are really sometimes lots of mealybugs in my propagation pot, especially when I do not remove the dried leaves. So even if it's only a propagation or a small succulent, it is a must also for us to clean up the dried leaves at the bottom part of the succulents. So I also add Osmocote as low release fertilizer, which is the fertilizer I always use in my succulent and cacti. So right now, what you are looking in the video is the propagation of my hybrid aloes, which I have grown from seeds. Yes, from seed. And it took a year before it grows this big. So that's why I understand now why succulents that if you bought from an online store or an live selling or even a physical store, if it is grown for from seed, it is very expensive. Why? Because it's really take time to grow them, but they are more stable compared to the stem cutting. So on this video, now you are looking at the cactus or the propagation of my cactus. So some of them are clumping, some are not. So they are only potted in a 2.75 by 2.75 plastic pots, and some are clumping already. And later, I will show you the small mellow cactus that I have grown from seed. So it really takes time and it really requires lots of patience. So these are the mellow cactus, the small ones that I have grown from seed, seeds, I mean. So I have been taking care of them for a year already, but look how small it is. So it's fine. I'm trying to test my patience, how big it will become. So I'm hoping that it will become big soon. So aside from seeds and stem cutting, I also propagate my succulent through leaf propagation. So it's simply you have to remove the leaf from the lower part or the matured one. The leaves, it must be clean cut and just put it on a topsoil. Then, if you are lucky enough, they will give you an offset and eventually will grow roots that will be attached on the soil mix that where you put it. So I do not intentionally propagate them from leaves but sometimes I do intentionally, but most of the time when I clean up my succulents, I accidentally remove some leaves, so that's why I propagate them through leaf propagation. So another important or another benefit also when you do stem cutting is that when you do stem cutting, your succulent starts to restart, meaning it gives offset on the stem where you cut the rosettes of the succulent, just like this Bill's Baker. So I just got this Bill's Baker around March, I think, or April. So look how many offsets or babies it has. And this is the example of the path of my Arun Pay that I have propagated through stem cutting. Look how lush it is now. So stem cutting is much easier to do when propagating, and this is an example of my sedum clavatum that I have propagated through stem cutting too. I also have stem cutting of Craftopia marfin, Echeveria silkwill, and another part of Arunpay. I also do it in a in some other succulent like Chocomoon stone. So stem cutting would be the faster way to propagate your succulent. But if you have lots of patience, you can do it by propagating it to seeds and repropagation. So basically, that's my sharing for today, why it is important and how to I propagate my succulent. So I hope you learned something new from me today. Thank you for watching and supporting my channel. And please do not forget to visit my main channel, that is Succulent and Cacti Lover. And that's all my sharing. Don't forget to like my video and subscribe too. And share if you do like it with your family, friends, and relatives. So, bye for now. See you on my next vlog. Bye bye. God bless us all. Bye. Have a nice day and happy gardening, everyone.